Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7 p.m. on LA56.
LAPD Chief Charlie Beck speaks out on the deadly officer-involved shooting of a homeless man in Venice. This as we learn more about the moments leading up to the fatal altercation.
75% of LA sophomores are not on track to get their diploma. Have the requirements to graduate high school gotten too hard?
And the new NFL report out today on Deflategate. Did Patriots quarterback Tom Brady know? Good evening. I'm Rudabe Shabazi in for Colleen Sullivan.
And I'm David Ona. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. A memorial has been set up in Venice to remember the unarmed man killed late last night in an officer-involved shooting. It's an incident that is drawing serious concerns for the community. And Eyewitness News reporter Jory Rand is live in Venice with the latest on the investigation. Jory?
David, there's been a solid group of about 10 to 15 people who say they knew Brendan Glenn, a transient who spent a lot of time here in Venice Beach. They have set up a memorial back there with pictures, with flowers, and people have kind of streamed through, some stopping to take a look at the memorial, many others stopping to take a look at messages written on the street in chalk like this one that reads, "The LAPD just gunned down an unarmed homeless person right here." Let's tell you exactly how this happened last night. It began around 11:30 when officers responded to a call of a disturbance. They met the suspect, who was, these people here say, Brendan Glenn. They told the suspect to then move along, and at first he did. But they later saw him in an altercation with someone else. They responded again, and he became in an altercation with police. It was at some point then that police fired reportedly 2 shots, and the suspect was then taken to the hospital where he later died. Now, Chief Charlie Beck spoke on this incident earlier today. Here's a little bit of what he had to say.
I know there are public concerns about this particular officer-involved shooting, as there are any time an unarmed individual is shot by a police officer. I am also very concerned about this shooting. The Los Angeles Police Department is working closely with the District Attorney, working closely with our Inspector General, and we will expend all resources to find out the truth of what happened last night on Windward Avenue.
And that's what a lot of folks here today want to know, exactly what happened, what led to this. Now, Chief Charlie Beck also said it takes extraordinary circumstances for a Los Angeles police officer to shoot a suspect. He also said he has yet to see anything extraordinary in this case, but the case is still pending. Now, the Los Angeles Police Protective League released a statement saying it is completely irresponsible for anyone, much less the chief of police, to render a judgment on an incident that is in the early stages of this investigation. So we'll see how this plays out, but that side not very happy with the chief's words today. Of course, this investigation is ongoing. They also plan to hold a candlelight vigil back here tomorrow near the scene of the crime at 7:30 back here in Venice. For now, we are live in Venice. Jory Rand, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Jory, thank you. We're following dangerous weather. Several twisters have touched down today across Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Kansas. The danger from the strong storm system continues, and we're starting to get a look at some of the damage now. There are reports that dozens of homes have been destroyed on the outskirts of Oklahoma City in that area. Passengers at Will Rogers World Airport even had to be evacuated into a tunnel as the severe storms approached. The system is also producing large hail, but so far no injuries have been reported. The storm is part of an initial wave of what's expected to be several days of dangerous weather in the region.
And Jonathan Novak has been tracking the storms. Clearly they are still out there. Jonathan.
Yeah, in fact, David, Rudabe folks, where you see the yellow shading here, those are tornado watches that go through the early morning hours, and that's again just the first sort of stage of what's happening here in the central part of the country here, from the Midwest down through the Plain States here. Oklahoma City getting hit right now with a severe storm. Now, we're looking at tornado warnings as well scattered around the area. Around Moore, a couple of years ago, there was an EF5 tornado. It was deadly. Today, a tornado grazing that spot. And if you look now, if you were to analyze this radar, you have a little area here that looks like it could potentially maybe have some rotation. But as far as the Oklahoma City area goes right now, for sure, very heavy rain. And look at the lightning that is coming down now. On top of that, there's the threat of hail around all of this area that you see in the yellow here for the rest of the night into the early morning time. We are tracking here. We're also looking at a storm system that locally might affect us later on in the forecast, and I will detail that coming up in your 7-day in a few minutes.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. LA County Sheriff's deputies have arrested a suspect who attempted to abduct his own child in Whittier. Investigators say Joshua David Diaz violated a restraining order and entered the home where his child and ex-girlfriend live. He made a cutting motion on his wrist before leaving the house. He later returned with gasoline and poured it onto the house and car. When deputies arrived, he took off again. He was later spotted and taken into custody. Neighbors tell us the 28-year-old suspect was recently released from prison.
New information tonight about the man suspected of the brutal killing of a Laverne businessman and his wife the day after Christmas. At a news conference this afternoon, investigators say 23-year-old Luke Fabella acted alone when he killed 89-year-old Army Isom and 74-year-old Shirley Isom. The wealthy elderly couple was bludgeoned and stabbed inside their large home on the outskirts of Laverne. Investigators had released this sketch several weeks ago, but a DNA match helped lead them to Fabella, who was already behind bars on auto theft charges.
Obviously, DNA is involved in the investigation, but that's not the holy grail. There's a lot of other work that went into it, too.
Authorities say Fabella was or has an extensive criminal record. They still don't have a motive for the murders. Investigators would not disclose whether anything was stolen from the victim's home.
Orange County authorities are asking the public for help tracking down an attempted child kidnapping suspect in North Tustin. This is a sketch of the man deputies are looking for. An 11-year-old girl says she was walking her dog when the suspect pulled up in a white van, demanding she get in. The girl was able to run away. The suspect vehicle is described as a white box van with the logo Quick Clean and a recyclable water symbol with a blue raindrop on each side. Anyone with information is urged to contact the Orange County Sheriff's Department.
Is it getting too hard to graduate high school? 75% of Los Angeles 10th graders are at risk of not getting a diploma. School administrators are reconsidering the stringent requirements that are supposed to better prepare students for college. Eyewitness News reporter Giovanna Lara has the story.
The future of an ambitious LAUSD plan approved 10 years ago to better prepare students for college is being questioned by some at the district, including LA Superintendent Ray Cortines, who says enforcing the plan is, quote, not practical, realistic, or fair to the students of 2017.
I think that it is a challenging requirement, A through G, but at the same time, our students can do it. We believe in our kids.
Approved in 2005, the A through G program requires students graduating in 2017 and beyond to earn a C grade or better in courses that would make them eligible to apply to both UC and Cal State schools. The class was given 12 years to achieve those goals, but now 2 years shy of graduation, it appears 75% of the 2017 class are not on track to meet the new college prep requirements.
The superintendent wants to make sure that the students of today are not punished for the lack of investment that we failed to make. It's not their fault.
Next week, School Board Vice President Steve Zimmer and fellow school board member Monica Garcia are proposing a resolution to help those students catch up, and they're asking for $5 million just to begin the process.
Extended day programs. It talks about Saturday school. It talks about dynamic tutoring resources. It talks about professional development for teachers to raise the standards of instruction.
We asked parents at Helen Bernstein High School what they thought about the college prep rules and whether the rigorous requirements should be relaxed or kept in place.
More money should be given to the schools so tutoring will be available for most students that need the help.
Yeah, I agree with that because it's for the students.
The school board will take up the resolution next Tuesday. In Hollywood, Giovanna Lara, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
An appeals court says police do not have to turn over records of license plates that are electronically scanned. The court agreed with an LA judge who said the records are exempt from disclosure because they relate to law enforcement investigations. The ACLU and the Electronic Frontier Foundation were seeking the records of the LAPD and the LA County Sheriff's Department in order to assess the scope of government surveillance. They claim the records are collected indiscriminately and could be used to track anyone, such as political activists. But the police say they only catalog the information to track vehicles that are involved in crimes.
2 earthquakes rattled Southern California today. One struck around 9:11 this morning, centered 5 miles southwest of Corona. And this is what the magnitude 3.1 quake looked like on our ABC7 Quake Cam. Some people in Corona also felt another stronger earthquake that jolted the Inland Empire overnight. The 3.9 magnitude quake hit around 12:40 a.m. and was centered 5 miles north of Hemet. A smaller aftershock was also reported about an hour later.
Tom Brady and several Patriots employees are on the receiving end of a damaging report. The 243-page account alleging the team's star quarterback likely knew the football used during last January's AFC championship game against the Colts was underinflated. As ABC's Ryan Smith reports, the NFL must now consider what to do next.
Since leading his New England Patriots to victory in the Super Bowl, quarterback Tom Brady has been on a social media charm offensive.
Let's go!
Video of Brady cliff diving with his family in Costa Rica. Posting this picture last weekend, hitting the Kentucky Derby. Tonight, he's playing defense. NFL investigators releasing a 243-page report into the Deflategate scandal, saying Brady was generally aware of inappropriate activities surrounding taking the air out of game balls. Minutes before Brady took the field for that AFC championship game with the Indianapolis Colts, Patriots employee Jim McNally reportedly carried the game day balls out of the officials' locker room to a bathroom. A minute and 40 seconds later, he brings them to the field, a breach of game day protocol. The balls were later found to be deflated. But perhaps most damning, according to the report, after Brady allegedly complained about game balls in October, McNally and equipment manager John Jastrzemski discussed altering them to Brady's liking months before that AFC championship game. The pair engaged in a string of texts. At one point, Jastrzemski telling McNally about Brady, talked to him last night. He actually brought you up and said you must have a lot of stress trying to get them done. Later, McNally calling himself the deflator. And in the days after the scandal broke, Brady, who refused to turn over his text messages to investigators, called Jastrzemski several times. Late today, Brady's dad coming to his defense, saying of the report, "I don't have any doubt about my son's integrity, not one bit." But these revelations likely a hard hit to the star's credibility, who claimed he did nothing wrong.
Is Tom Brady a cheater?
I don't believe so. I mean, I feel like I've always played within the rules. I would never do anything to break the rules.
Here at NFL headquarters, the league says it's considering what steps to take in light of this report that took 103 days to produce. Patriots owner Robert Kraft disputes the document, saying the time, effort, and resources it took to reach this conclusion are incomprehensible. But no matter what happens, the damage to Tom Brady's reputation may be done. Ryan Smith, ABC News, New York.
Up next, a train derailment sparks a massive fireball and triggers an entire town's evacuation tonight. Is this a new explosive trend?
Plus, who's saying a so-called ocean blob may be to blame for strange marine life activity off the California coast, and this story.
It's been 5 years since Tristan got a bone marrow transplant. Now he's soon going to be able to meet his donor. I'm Rob McMillan in Menifee. We'll explain coming up.
That scare caught on video today in Midtown Manhattan. Con Edison says explosions sent 2 manhole covers flying into the air. The force of the blast even caused nearby buildings to shake. Firefighters quickly put out the fires, but they're still trying to figure out exactly what caused the explosions. There are no injuries reported.
Evacuations after a massive oil tanker train derailment erupted into flames. The U.S. oil production now booming. There is growing fear this could happen far more often. ABC's Clayton Sandell reports.
Huge plumes of smoke and fire erupting into the sky. The train, over 100 cars long, loaded with crude oil, derailing, then catching fire this morning. 6 cars engulfed. So much smoke, residents in the tiny town of Heimdall had to be evacuated, but no one was injured. It's the 8th oil train derailment just this year. A few months ago in West Virginia, another train carrying crude oil jumped the tracks, sparking this huge fireball. Hundreds of families evacuating.
I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Every day in the U.S., over 1 million barrels of crude oil travel by train, often on tracks that critics say are aging and in need of an upgrade.
These are, in many times, going very near our homes, our schools, and our businesses.
Just last week, American and Canadian regulators issued tough new rules for these oil cars, including lower speed limits and requiring stronger tanks and better brakes.
But critics say it will be years before all tankers are up to those new standards. In the meantime, the huge surge in U.S. oil production means more tanker cars like these in cities and neighborhoods around the country. Clayton Sandell, ABC News, Denver.
Well, it sounds like something out of a 1950s drive-in movie, but scientists say the blob is here, and it's what's behind some weird marine behavior. From huge schools of anchovies off the coast of San Diego to close encounters with whales, scientists admit something strange is going on in the Pacific Ocean. They think they found the culprit, a body of water in the northern Pacific that has 5 to 6 degrees warmer than usual water since the fall of 2013. They've nicknamed it the Blob. Now there are 2 more blobs, one of them along the California coast.
Does this blob mean that we're going to change back to the warmer conditions, which would mean more rainfall? We're still asking that question.
Scientists believe a strong ridge of high pressure is causing the blob. They say it's what's been keeping the west sunny and dry while pelting the Midwest and East Coast with cold storms.
So we don't like the blob.
No, definitely not.
We need to get our rain back, but we've gone 2 years without it. In the meantime, Jonathan Novak joins us right now. We actually do have a little rain coming our way, don't we, Jonathan?
Yeah, some of the models actually showing some storms possible as we head through the Thursday PM Friday time period. We'll get to that in the meantime, right now. Live back at Doppler 7000 HD showing storms, some bringing the potential for tornadoes. Right now, through portions of Oklahoma down through Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma City has a flash flood warning. Right now, actually, there's flooding going on around Moore up through Oklahoma City. This is extremely heavy rainfall, torrential downpours, lots of lightning. Half-dollar-sized hail reported with this storm by the National Weather Service, and this is a severe storm right here. And coming back out, you can see some of the other storms. Wherever you see these red boxes right in here behind the lightning, those are actually tornado warnings. And there's one right now around Wichita Falls. And as you go through the evening tonight, this yellow shading here is indicating the potential for more tornadic activity because that's a tornado watch that goes through 2 a.m. in some spots. For us, well, today was dry. Live, I should say. It's not live. That is from Running. It's me reading the screen. Running Springs. That is actually a time lapse of Running Springs of the clouds today, and that is going to be, well, maybe bring some rain as we go through Thursday and Friday, and some storms potentially. 15 miles an hour for the wind speeds at LAX. 59 degrees. It's a cool one. It's cool in Burbank and dry, but the clouds are out. Check that out. Look at that. So that's a live shot right there. And what we have on the setup for the atmosphere, the features, we have an area of low pressure that is going to be diving south through Southern California for tomorrow, especially in the evening through Friday afternoon and evening. And there's the storm system right here that is bringing all that shower and thunderstorm activity all the way down right here into Texas, West Texas, north into the Northern Plains states. So for us, it's this one we're watching here that's going to be diving south, bringing us that rain potential. So let's see what's going to happen as we go through Thursday and Friday. This is Thursday at noon, and watch the chance for some showers around 6 p.m. and then the evening time. It's that light green shading, not a real heavy rainmaker at this point, at least, at Thursday 11 p.m., but watch what happens on Friday, especially in the afternoon. around, this is noon, into 3, 4, 5 p.m. and evening time event, it looks like, through Friday, 4 p.m. And I think it's probably going to last a little bit to the mountain spots through the 8 to 11 p.m. time frame. Potentially some storm activity. Some of that was yellow shading, which means some heavy rain. And again, the storms could form and maybe even drift south into the Los Angeles area. Well, we'll be watching it right here for you in the Weather Center for tomorrow. For tonight, cloudy, dry. Deserts, some gusty conditions, 35 for those wind speeds. And your 7-day forecast shows for LA Metro and Orange County, a 60% chance of PM storms into Friday. 64, 65 for a high. It's going to be a cool one, and then we'll dry out and warm up into the weekend, and next week's looking good. Valleys, IE, you're in there too. You've got 60% for your chance of showers and storms in the mix, and then you're at 80 degrees by Sunday as we start the warm up toward the end of the weekend. The beach forecast looks a little wet, lower 60s, cool, cloudy tomorrow, Friday, and then the weekend looks really nice, just a little bit cool, 63 to 66 Saturday and Sunday. The mountain forecast, maybe some snow, believe it or not. Yeah, this is coming well from the north, so it's going to bring some cool enough air. We could see 2 to 3 inches by Friday with highs only around 39, and then 60 for a high on Sunday, so we're really rebounding like that for those temperatures. In the high desert, some showers for you too, looks like Thursday into Friday. We'll be here in the Weather Center. We're going to be watching it for you guys in that live Mega Doppler 7000 HD.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. We'll check back. In the meantime, a Southern California boy and his family are traveling thousands of miles from home to meet the person who helped save his life.
Yeah, we first introduced you to Tristan several years ago. Eyewitness News Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan updates us now on how he's doing and the adventure that awaits.
In many ways, Tristan Krauser is a lot like every other 11-year-old boy. He brags about his awards.
It's one of your trophies?
He helps out around the house.
Got it!
But Tristan is a cancer survivor.
It has been an up and down roller coaster.
We were there 6 years ago when Tristan's dying wish was to go dog sledding. He was too sick to travel, so Loma Linda Children's Hospital brought the snow and the sled dogs to him.
And we were told to go home. They didn't believe that he would make it into Christmas. So he's a miracle baby.
Now, after a life-saving bone marrow transplant, he's well enough to travel all the way to Germany. That's where Ines Bork lives. She's the donor who helped save Tristan's life. They'll be meeting for the first time.
You know, we always say that I gave him Tristan life the first time, and Ines gave him life the second time, because without her, I wouldn't have my son today.
What are you going to say to her when you see her?
I don't know. I haven't got that far.
Tristan and his mother will be leaving for Germany on May 23rd. Not only will they be able to meet Ines, but there's also going to be an event raising awareness about the importance of registering to be a donor.
It's so important because so many people don't have the opportunity to have a transplant and end up losing their battle.
Really? Come on!
In Menifee, Rob McMillan, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
So great to see him
Yeah.
still here and smiling and
What
happy.
a cute kid.
Yeah.
I wish him the best.
Very.
Up next, a big test for Hawthorne-based SpaceX at Cape Canaveral.
Plus, how unmanned drones could change farming in drought-stricken California.
And a happy reunion after the LAPD cracks a dog napping case allegedly carried out by 2 women posing as police officers.
2, 1. And we have ignition.
SpaceX has successfully performed a test on its new escape system for astronauts. The mock-up capsule was fired into the air this morning from Cape Canaveral. No humans were on board, just a dummy. The flight lasted just more than a minute before dropping into the ocean as planned. Hawthorne-based SpaceX, led by billionaire Elon Musk, aims to launch American astronauts to the International Space Station as early as 2017.
Well, the drought has been brutal for California farmers, but they're getting some help tonight from a change in federal law. The FAA has just announced it's allowing farmers to use large drones that can fertilize crops and spread pesticides. Previously, farmers could only use drones to take pictures of their crops. Large drones like this one, built by Yamaha, have been used in Japan and other countries for years. Here in California, they'll be used for precision spraying in hard-to-reach places like the rolling hills of wine country.
Oh. Well, we are updating you on these top stories next at 7:30.
Including the search for whoever intentionally poisoned sea lions.
And a man accused of breaking into Sandra Bullock's West LA home appears in court. How his attorney plans to defend him.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7:30 p.m. on LA56.
Top story at 7:32. LAPD officers involved in the fatal shooting of an unarmed man in Venice are off the street this evening, pending the outcome of the investigation. I'm David Ono.
I'm Rudabeh Shabazi in for Colleen Sullivan. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. LAPD Chief Charlie Beck says surveillance video captured a scuffle between officers and the victim before the man was fatally shot. The victim is being identified by those who knew him as 25-year-old Brendan Glenn, a transient. Chief Beck says he has yet to see any extraordinary circumstances to justify shooting the unarmed man.
A tornado emergency in the Oklahoma City area after several twisters touched down in the Plain States. This video shows some of the damage that has taken place in the suburbs of Norman and Moore. A tornado grazed the Oklahoma City area and as you can see, there is widespread damage to buildings, but so far it appears to be far less serious than some of the past tornadoes that have taken place there. No injuries have been reported.
Laguna Beach police are looking for whoever injured sea lions being treated at the Pacific Marine Mammal Center. Investigators say that person poured large amounts of chlorine into a saltwater holding pool. Eyewitness News reporter Christina Salvo has more on the injuries and the search for the attacker.
These are healthy sea lions. They look much better than their friends this morning.
Someone came in on the premise and put chlorine in our release pool.
Now, we weren't allowed to see the injured sea lion pups because they are considered evidence in an ongoing criminal investigation.
The injury was what is known as a corneal ulceration or an ulceration of the eye. And it's due to chemicals burning the eyes.
Police aren't saying how the suspect broke into the facility, only that the individual poured a large amount of chlorine into the water filtration system where 17 sea lion pups were already being rehabbed.
It's hard for all of us. Our volunteers and staff have taken these animals from near death and rehabbed them back and gotten them ready to go back into the wild, and to have this happen right before they're ready for release, it's shaken the staff.
8 have healed, but 7 need continued treatment and will be kept here for at least 4 more weeks. Police are reviewing surveillance video from the property and nearby properties in an effort to identify the suspect and bring him or her to justice.
I can't imagine that someone would want to hurt the animals.
Now, the center here has hired a security guard to patrol overnight as a result of this incident. They are hopeful that the sea lion pups will all be able to recover and be released back into the wild at some point. As for the suspect, that individual can expect to face animal cruelty charges, which carry a $20,000 fine and up to a year in jail. In Laguna Beach, Christina Salvo, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A man was reunited today with his stolen dog. Little Franny was seized in an elaborate scheme involving suspects pretending to be LAPD animal cruelty officers. Investigators say a tip from the public helped them find Little Fanny, unite her with her owner, and arrest 51-year-old Jenny Smiles, who now faces multiple felony charges.
Happy when the police called me this morning. I'm happy because the police told me maybe have my dog.
Police are still looking for a second suspect, and they want to know if Smiles might have approached any other pet owners in a similar way. Anyone with information is asked to call 877-LAPD 24/7.
The man accused of stalking actress Sandra Bullock and breaking into her West LA home was arraigned today. Eyewitness News reporter John Gregory has details on the charges filed against Joshua James Corbett and how his attorney plans to defend him.
Joshua James Corbett sat quietly as the judge discussed his case. The 39-year-old will stand trial for stalking Hollywood actress Sandra Bullock.
Mr. Corbett's ordered back 8:30 bail unchanged. Thank you.
The arraignment followed a preliminary hearing where prosecutors presented damaging evidence. Corbett was arrested in Bullock's Hollywood Hills home last year after she called for help from a locked closet. At a preliminary hearing, prosecutors played a portion of the 911 call.
Tell us what the person was wearing, what color pants.
I always saw it was like dark sweatshirt and dark pants. I'm going up the stairs to my attic and have a door to my bedroom and the safe door, and I just hit the button and I'm hiding in the closet right now.
The actress did not appear in court for the arraignment. While prosecutors are confident they have a strong case, the defense argues that Corbett is mentally ill and needs help.
He's mentally disturbed. He's getting some help in the jail, but he's not getting the kind of help he can get. Never intended to hurt Miss Bullock, and we're going to show that.
While Corbett was unarmed when he was arrested, a search of his home turned up a number of illegal weapons, including assault rifles. He's also facing weapons charges. The trial is set for June 8th.
Now, Corbett has pled not guilty to all of the charges. His bail is set at $2 million. From downtown Los Angeles, John Gregory, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A woman with a history of trying to sneak onto planes without a ticket is accused of doing it again. Chicago police say Marilyn Hartman was arrested at both O'Hare and Midway airports in recent days. In August, Hartman succeeded in getting on a Southwest flight from San Jose to Los Angeles. A judge gave her 2 years probation, which she violated just days later by appearing at LAX. For the O'Hare incident, Hartman pleaded guilty to misdemeanor criminal trespassing on state land and was sentenced to a year of court supervision. She is due in court tomorrow for the Midway incident. And a couple in Hesperia has some real safety concerns after nearly a dozen cars crashed into their fence in the past 10 years. Inland Empire reporter Leticia Waters tells us they're hoping the city can do something about the hazard from the nearby accident-prone intersection at Muscatel Street and 8th Avenue.
I'm an old man. I've seen it all, but it irritates me. Let's put it that way. I've had it up to here.
This is what has Warren Jones so upset. His chain link fence was just repaired a month ago.
Guy come up the street 60 miles an hour, didn't stop there, and pole vaulted and come across here and crashed into the fence. This is the 11th time this has happened.
So many times, he and his wife, Joan Marie, joke they have more photos of the crashes than of their grandkids. The most recent one happened on Sunday. Joan says the driver of this car ran, but was eventually caught and arrested. But more often than not, these are hit and runs.
He was one of the 9 that got away.
The Joneses tell us that the problem is this street and that stop sign.
If a cop parked over here on a corner, he could write 50 tickets a day, because nobody stops here.
A few years ago, the Joneses sunk thousands of dollars to have these large rocks, concrete posts, and heavy-duty chains put in place to act as a protective barrier. Even parking this old Suburban they call the Tank out front to act as a protective barrier.
If those rocks weren't there, he would have come all the way through and hit me. The piano's right there, and he would have come that far.
I tried to get rocks the size of Volkswagens and put them out in the front here, but it's against the law. The city won't let me do that.
The couple have asked the city for help, but say that has gotten them nowhere. We contacted the city of Hesperia. A spokesperson says they are looking into the issue. For now, these rocks are all that stand between the Joneses and the roadway. In Hesperia, Leticia Waters, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A woman being held hostage in her home saved herself and her 3 kids by ordering pizza. Along with her order, she used an app on her smartphone to send a secret request for help.
The order comes through and she had edited her ticket. So on the bottom it said hostage help, and on the top it said get 911 help.
Workers at this Florida Pizza Hut called 911. Sheriff's deputies say they found the woman's boyfriend, Ethan Nickerson, holding her and her 3 kids as he sharpened a large knife. As soon as they arrived, the woman ran toward them with a baby in her arms.
I don't know if I ever would have thought of it. I mean, it's just something she did so naturally. The boyfriend never knew about it until he saw us come around the corner.
Nickerson finally came out and was arrested. The mother and her kids are safe thanks to that app.
All right. Great thinking.
Yeah, very quick thinking.
It's a known fact. Pope Francis loves sports.
Well, today he got to meet the Globetrotters, what they tried to teach the Pope. Coming up next.
Plus, seeing the stars in LA is just about impossible thanks to all those city lights, but one filmmaker is showing us what it would look like if all those lights didn't exist.
Cool. All right, well, no stars tonight. We've only got clouds ahead of a storm system. I'll detail rain chances coming up next 7 days.
Pomp and circumstance at the Vatican today as several new Swiss guards were sworn in. The 32 people are now officially members of the Vatican's small army. They held the Vatican flag, displayed 3 fingers symbolizing the Holy Trinity, and repeated an oath. Several cardinals and Pope Francis helped welcome them. And the Harlem Globetrotters tried to teach Pope Francis some basketball tricks. The basketball troupe met with the Pope during his weekly general audience. They presented the pontiff with a framed number 90 jersey with his name, and then Herbert Flight Time Lang got a ball spinning on his own finger and then tried to pass it on to the Pope. It didn't last too long, but Pope Francis wasn't giving up and tried it again. In the end, though, he left the tricks to the experts.
I just met the Pope. We all just met the Pope, and we're definitely very excited. I mean, we've been able to do a lot of things in our life, and meeting the Pope is probably at the top of that list right now.
The Globetrotters were also a hit with the pilgrims, many of whom asked to take selfies with them. The Globetrotters are touring Italy.
They make it look easy. Well, gearing up for the Special Olympics World Games in Los Angeles this summer. There was a send-off today for 10 law enforcement vehicles from the LAPD and the LA County Sheriff's Department. They're heading to the East Coast to escort the Special Olympics torch relay runs across the country. It's part of the continuing support for the Special Olympics by the 2 departments.
As a police officer, there's nothing more gratifying than being a part of something this special.
In 30 years, law enforcement has raised over $500 million for Special Olympics. So we could not be more excited.
3 torch relay runs will converge on Los Angeles from Washington, D.C., Florida, and Maine. The opening ceremony for the Games is July 25th.
Well, we are getting ready for some rain. Meteorologist Jonathan Novak has his complete forecast coming up next.
And the USA women's soccer team is in Santa Ana as they get ready for next month's World Cup in Canada. We'll hear from Team USA.
An update on the local widow whose treasured love letters from her late husband were stolen. Now some brand new love letters pouring in from all over from those who've heard her story.
Welcome back. Looks like a little rain in our forecast and overcast skies. Let's get a check on weather now with Jonathan Novak.
Yeah, we have storms ahead potentially in that forecast, and we're going to take another look here. In fact, at that live Megadoppler 7000 HD, where more severe weather is occurring now. This storm, I'm mentioning earlier that there was probably rotation with this storm that was around Oklahoma City, and now the National Weather Service just issuing a tornado warning. That is what that red box is there. Wichita Falls, a tornado warning there, and to the southwest of that area, all those yellow shades, those are tornado watches that go through the early morning time. Look at these storm cells. That is really intense. That rainfall right there that is approaching toward Wichita Falls to the northeast, that is going to be bringing some flooding rains and hail right now east of Oklahoma City in the southeastern portion of the city, golf ball size. They are really under the gun, and this stretches all the way up to the north, up to Wichita, so it is looking like a busy night, unfortunately, for that portion of the country. For us, we're dry, you know that. But we have some rain on the horizon, okay, as we go through the next couple of days. This is a time-lapse from Malibu earlier today. Nice clouds to give us some nice images there from that time-lapse. Malibu's at 62 degrees at the moment. We head over to LAX, and it is kind of a half-and-half deal right there in that shot. 59 degrees, little clear sky, little bit of cloud cover there. Some breezy conditions out of the west, 15 miles an hour. And this next storm system is going to get kind of breezy as well. But more importantly, maybe some storms that'll fire up. I'll show you in a moment. It's cool. We were once again below average today. 62 right now in LA, 62 Riverside, still 70 in Hemet. The storm system that we're looking at is up to the northwest. Here's the one right here that's lifting to the northeast. That's bringing all that rain to that portion of the country we just showed you. We're looking at this one up to the north of us. Look at that around Seattle, that spin. That is that next area of low pressure that's going to be diving south into Southern California for the time frame Thursday p.m. in the afternoon and evening, but mainly I think Friday, and especially in the afternoon, as we see the bulk of that energy and that lift and that instability in the area. Check it out here in the future rainfall forecast. I can show you just that. This is 6 p.m. Thursday. Already a couple of showers possible around Santa Clarita, maybe Santa Barbara, light rainfall, nothing too heavy. Thursday 11 p.m., that spreads out a little bit more, but still nothing too heavy until Friday afternoon. We see a bullseye barreling through around Santa Clarita down into the Los Angeles area. We could see some strong storms potentially fire up, and then it looks like by 4 p.m. all that activity moves down to the southeastern portion of the area, and I think it'll be done by, well, late evening, potentially, maybe still a lingering shower at that point. So Thursday, Friday time frame looks busy for us, which is good. We need rain. So we've got a 60% shot at it Thursday and Friday. The weekend looks dry just in time, 73 by Sunday, and we are in the 70s next week with sunshine back in play. Valleys, IE, 63 for 2 days and a chance of rain. The weekend looks good, and you're back in the 80s by Sunday. Let's take a look at the beach forecast. Cool, cloudy, and your shot at showers is 50% on Friday. Not bad. The mountains could see some snow, believe it or not, 2 to 3 inches with this system. It's coming from the north. It's a cold system. 39 for a high for this time of year. That's cold for you guys on Friday. High desert looks cool, cloudy, and even some showers for you guys as well. Well, have you ever wondered what the night sky would look like over Los Angeles if there wasn't so much light? A filmmaker teamed up with a photographer to show us what it could look like. Check it out. The beautiful city lights of downtown Los Angeles. But imagine if it looked like this. Gavin Heffernan says you shouldn't have to.
For a lot of people, the idea of a Milky Way or a night sky above them is like a unicorn, or it's just like science fiction.
That's one of the many cool time lapses Gavin and fellow photographer Haroon Mladenovich have taken. And this one, superimposing a desert night sky behind LA to make a point.
There's this understanding that it's kind of a false choice, that more people equals more light.
But a lot of that light ends up as light pollution, washing out stars we'd otherwise see. And Gavin says that's a big problem.
There's a profound effect that goes way beyond just beauty and aesthetics. And in fact, there's a biological impact.
So Gavin and Haroon have started a Kickstarter campaign to help them capture the best star spots in the country and to make sure we don't lose all of our starscapes to city lights.
We're hoping that with this quest, we'll be able to A, raise awareness, and B, inspire people to care, and inspire people to connect with that childlike self of their own.
Sure, these guys are good, but how do they fare when IDing our own ABC7 weather time lapses?
That's downtown LA.
Okay, that was easy. That was easy. I mean, it's right there behind you. That was
at the 101 freeway?
That was Burbank.
Looks like Long Beach. I thought
okay, you got it.
There.
And if you want to try on your own, you can download an app called Slow Shutter. Check out this video of Gavin showing me how his camera works. And then my camera. That's the best I can do with a time lapse. Hey, they've got their Kickstarter going still, and if you want to help out, you can go to abc7.com, and there's a link there to help out with that, because Just so cool to see
It
those
is
images.
cool.
Can you believe that David and I were both, and you too?
Yeah, me
Fascinating.
too.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's unimaginable in LA, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a shame we don't see it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. Great story. June 6th, 1 month from today, the World Cup of Women's Soccer will begin in Edmonton, Canada. The U.S. team has never finished worse than third in the event, and they're one of the top contenders again this year. Greg Lee reports from Santa Ana.
Members of the U.S. women's national soccer team took the pitch at Santa Ana College for practice before 3 exhibition games on American soil. Final tune-ups before the Women's World Cup kicks off in Canada next month.
I'm as hungry as I've ever been. There is nothing like winning a World Cup. There's nothing like winning an Olympics. I've never had a World Cup championship.
Veterans Abby Wambach and Hope Solo lead a team that came up just short in the 2011 World Cup, losing to Japan in the final. This year, the Americans have drawn what some have called the group of death: Sweden, Australia, and Nigeria.
I think it's going to be tough to get out of the group, and we can't overlook that.
The Stars and Stripes hope to work out any kinks in the coming weeks and enjoy the comforts of home. The team's exhibition games include stops in San Jose and Carson, welcome venues for several California natives on the squad.
I grew up here in Southern California, and my husband's family is from Northern California, so to have 2 games in front of both of our families is a lot of fun.
Still, the focus is on bringing home the U.S.'s first World Cup since 1999. Many consider them the favorite after winning Olympic gold in 2012. Solo says this team is ready.
We have a target on our backs all the time, but you know, growing up in that and being in this environment, you learn to manage that pressure.
The U.S. women's national team kicks off World Cup play on June 8th in Winnipeg when they take on Australia. Reporting in Santa Ana, Greg Lee, ABC7, Eyewitness News.
An outpouring of support for a Glendale woman whose love letters from her late husband were recently stolen. She's now getting a bunch of new letters in the mail. Eyewitness News reporter Amy Powell has her touching story shared with us through the hashtag ABC7Eyewitness.
Their love story began in the 1950s when a young Irish girl named Rosaline met a man named John Rickerby. Their marriage lasted 56 years. John died in December. Rosaline cherished the dozens of love letters her late husband sent to her while they were dating. She was living in Ireland at the time, and he was in Canada.
He proposed to me in those letters in 1957.
3 weeks ago, burglars broke into Rosaline's Glendale home. They stole jewelry and a makeup case containing the letters.
I lost my husband, and I'm still not over it. But his letters were so close to me.
Her son is offering a reward to get the letters back. After Eyewitness News told her heartbreaking story, strangers started calling and writing letters to Rosaline.
I hope your letters are returned soon. In the meantime, I hope this one keeps you company. It's nice when people are kind enough to call you up and sympathize with you, because they think about their love letters that they still have, and then they think about mine that are gone.
The family has increased the reward for the return of the stolen love letters to $5,000, and they can be returned with no questions asked. Rosaline checks her doorstep every day, hoping someone will bring back her precious letters.
If someone knows where they are, I just hope and pray that they'll be kind enough to send me have them back.
Amy Powell, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Sweet story. Yeah.
All right, well, more news straight ahead here at 7:30 and ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. A police officer pulls a man out of his car and throws him down on a busy highway. Why the man's son says he couldn't be happier. Plus, Nashville's resident doctor says he hopes viewers have patience because they'll need it after the cliffhanging season finale. We'll talk with him about what's ahead. These stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7.
Thanks for joining us for Eyewitness News at 7:30 on LA56. Law and Order SVU is coming up next.
Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7. Have a good night.
This is ABC7 weather.
Rain on the way, folks. Satellite and radar imagery showing a storm system that's going to be diving south into Southern California as we go through the next